Okay, welcome to part 4, which is a cropped view, which we're going to do one viewpoint, and then in the next installment are your sketching videos. So I'll show you a slightly different cropped view in the sketching video, and we're kind of combining, what you want and what you like from each one, and then picking a viewpoint. So for the cropped view, your vanishing points and your horizon line are going to go off the paper. So I just took my piece of blue tape from taping it onto the grid for the micrography. I'm going to tear it into 3 pieces. So this is if you don't have tape at home, then you can use what you were given. You guys got like the cheapo copy paper, which is not as thick and heavy. It's like flimsy. This is thicker. Okay, so I'm going to fold the copy paper in half. And I'm going to, actually this is gross, but I'm going to lick the side of the crease. And then I kind of like fold it again, like the side of the crease. I'll move this out of the way. Okay. So then you can rip. Okay, now you have 2. Then we're gonna fold. You're gonna keep this one. This will become the 3rd vanishing point. This one we're gonna fold in half again. Lick it. Fold it. And then you should be able to open it back up and rip it apart. So now you have 2 little pieces, and you have this piece of the copy paper. Okay, so we're going to, so this is my part 3. I would write part 4 crop view, have your name on it, but I'm going to like push it underneath my paper a little bit, and this is going to be my 3rd vanishing point. Okay, then off to the side, on the right hand side, I'm going to put it under my paper just a little bit. Okay, then, and you guys are going to be given, like, for your final draft, you have like a bunch of this white copy paper, or you can use any paper you have, quite honestly. The only issue you guys run into is if you make it too far off, you don't have a ruler that's long enough, unless you have a yardstick at home. So for the final draft, it becomes a little bit more like you have to kind of think about, like, what do you have as a long surface to trace for, like, a ruler. Okay, so in the cropped view, your horizon line, it's similar to what we learned for bird's eye and worm's eye. So if I want worm's eye view, then I'm going to move it down. If I want bird's eye view, I'm going to move it up. I'm going to put this one slightly, like kind of in the middle, but this time I'm going to tilt my horizon line, so I have a more kind of extreme view. Then I'm going to continue, and so reline up my line, and I'm going to put my right vanishing point, so VP2, on the edge of that little paper. Okay. Then I'm going to continue, line up my line again with my ruler, continue my horizon line, and I'm going to put VP1, and this is the horizon line, same as all the other, but now it's really long and I have it angled. Okay, so then I need more space. At the bottom, I'm going to put my 3rd vanishing point, VP3. And so this is going to be a little bit more of like a bird's eye view. If I wanted a worm's eye view, then I would, on your final draft, you'll have more paper to work with. You can move the horizon line lower, and then you can tape like this piece with the 3rd vanishing point up top. So you can totally move stuff around. And so you guys will write me questions on what you want to know for your sketches, or, if you're like, I want to do this, and how do I do this? Then we'll be able to kind of answer what you need. Okay, so I'm going to start with just 1 vanishing point, and then I'll show you, like, what if you want to add an additional 3rd vanishing point and other locations. Okay, so I'm going to start with a corner, and I am going to go slightly above and below horizon line, and I'm just going to do a vertical corner just for drawing purposes. And I'm going to go down off the page. Okay, so this is as if I can't see the bottom of something. So therefore, I'm not going to have a bottom angle to deal with. I just have a top. So the top of the structure is going to line up on the right-hand side with the right vanishing point, and then on the left-hand side with the left vanishing point. And it's going to go off the page. But now let's say I want to cut it off a little bit. So I am going to use my third vanishing point. I'm lining up all the way with my third vanishing point at the bottom, and I'm going to cut off my structure. And it goes all the way to the third vanishing point, all the way down. But I don't need to necessarily draw it, because now I'm hitting the edge of my paper, or on your final draft, the edge of your border. Okay, so I'm lining up okay, where I kind of want to cut it off. Okay, then I am lining up with my third vanishing point, all the way down at the bottom. And if you need to use a longer strip, like you need a longer ruler, you were given a longer strip of poster board. Like it looks like a skinny strip. It's mostly for final draft, but you actually might be able to use it for this one too. Okay, so then we're going to talk about like different structures, and so I'm going to leave some space for that. If I wanted to just add, you know, another structure in the same viewpoint, then I would just add another corner and add another structure. Okay, so if I wanted to have a non-realistic view, actually let me do some windows or something like that. I'm just giving myself a little guideline for where the corner is. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's say I wanted to put windows on here. So X marks the spot just with whatever part you have in your viewpoint, so I can find the center. Okay, so then the center is going to line up with my third vanishing point. Double check, okay. Lines up. So just as a guideline. So let's say I wanted 4 windows, like a skyscraper. Well, then I would just do X marks the spot. I'm just trying to find my verticals, and then I have horizontals. Okay, so then I would line those up with my third vanishing point. So this is less of an issue when it's a super tiny drawing, but once you guys start drawing your bigger final drafts on the 12 by 18 paper, which really becomes like 10 by 16 with borders. So it will show you like how much bigger it is here and how much smaller it is here. And that's the mathematical equations that the Renaissance artists came up with, and then we're actually able to perfect them in like the 1700s. Okay, so let's say I want the story to be like the horizon line. Then I'm going to carefully get a little bit smaller as it's going down towards the vanishing point. So if I wanted multiple windows, this is what I would do. And so I'm using my left vanishing point because the top of this building uses the left vanishing point. Let's say I had a line there. So then it gives me like how much smaller they get. I mean, you could use that shape and then just do the interior corners and make it look like 3-dimensional, or maybe like later on you're like, oh, I just want this to look glass-like, maybe I'll do a thicker border, etc. So it kind of depends on how detailed you want to get. Of course, how detailed you get is reflected in your grade. I'm going to make this one into an archway because there is room above the horizon line. So I'm going to do the sides first of the opening. A little bit bigger where it's closer to the corner. And then I will do X marks the spot to find the center of the arch. You're going to do arched openings, or arches as decoration. And I'm just now going to draw like a little guideline at the top saying, hey, this is where it curves the most. And that does line up with the center all the way down to the third vanishing point. Okay, so then if I'm drawing my archway, okay, then I can erase everything I don't need. So since this is above the eye level, above the horizon line, and below, I would be able to see, if I could see the bottom edge of the arch, I'd be able to see it. I would be able to see the underside at the top and the right-hand side. So I am going to use the vanishing point for the inside on the right. So that lines up with my third vanishing point, and then it countersinks into itself on the left. So I kind of start with the same kind of parallel offset curve, and then you'll be able to see a little bit above the horizon line and the right-hand side. And then if I want to put windows inside of there, I could. Okay, so let's say I wanted to add some structures. Let's say I have like fantasy world happening. I mean, it does not have to be realistic. So let's say I'm going to put a third vanishing point, let's go up here where you guys can see it. And let's say I had another piece of paper, you know, taped on there. All right, so I can have multiple third vanishing points. So this is where you get into like animation and comic books and like really complex compositions that look like a lot, but it's only because they have multiple third vanishing points. So I'm going to do my corner of some structure. And that's going to go to my third vanishing point. The side of it is going to go to my, so the corner, anything to the right goes to the right vanishing point. Let's say I'm going to cut this off. Anything to the left vanishing point. Okay. My ruler is almost not long enough. So I'm going to eyeball it. Make sure it kind of lines up. Okay. So maybe I do want to show it behind, going behind that structure. Okay, to my left vanishing point. All right, then I'm going to cut it off on the right. So I can show depth or distance. So I can add, so now I've added, like I have this one, this structure that goes to this third vanishing point. I have this structure that goes to this, and if I wanted to cut it off, this third vanishing point, and then maybe I wanted to add another structure where I have like a vanishing point like way up here, or maybe I have another vanishing point like over here. So you can tilt your horizon line. It always doesn't have to be horizontal. Then you have like more kind of funky extreme views. With a cropped view, your drawing is going to go off the paper, and that's perfectly acceptable, and it kind of just depends on what you want. But when you have a cropped view, your third vanishing point is off the paper, and I mean, you could have your first and second vanishing points on the paper, but if you want a really zoomed in close view, a cropped view, all vanishing points are off the paper. If I wanted it less cropped, then maybe I would want to put my VP1 here and VP2 there. And so then it would just it would slightly change the angle of everything. It would get more extreme because now you're moving your vanishing points in. So I'll just do a quick so you can see the difference. Let me use a color so this is slightly different. Okay, there we go, it's working. So that's how much it would change angle-wise if I move my VP in. Now on this side, how much would it change? Slightly. So if I move my VP in, it slightly changes. So if I moved them to the edge of the horizon line here, so if I had VP2 here, oops, sorry, and VP1, disregard that, VP1 there, it would look, the angled sides would look even more extreme. And then of course, if you move, let's say I wanted to move my VP3 down here, it doesn't have to be like so far away. The more you bring in your vanishing points, the less extreme it will look. All right, so that's pretty much all I wanted to show you for a crop view. I just wanted to let you know that you could, I could have my horizon line horizontal, I could have it angled, I could move it up even higher for a super worm's eye view, I can move my horizon line down lower and have my third vanishing point up higher for a worm's eye view, or you can combine the bird's eye with the worm's eye, and then maybe I want to do like an above and below view. So you can mix and match, especially if you're going to do something a little bit different and it's not going to be necessarily realistic for you. So there's part 4, and you at least need to try a bird's eye, worm's eye together. And if you're wanting to practice a little bit more before you start sketching, maybe you want to try above and below and just see how it goes on your own. And then of course you know what questions to ask. Okay, so the next part is going to be for sketching, but that's going to be in a different Google Doc, and we'll talk about that and your options in the next installment. Congratulations on finishing part 4.